Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. How is everyone this morning? Good morning, Bonnie. I hope everybody is waking up. It's kind of a little dark and gloomy out here today, rainy north of Seattle, but that's okay. It's fall, and I know some of you are dealing with like still 100-degree weather. So, hello. Hey, Cindy. Hey, Vicky. So, we're going to be doing some coloring today. And I'm going to show you how to color a Christmas tree. With the holidays coming up, hi, Paya. I thought it would be fun to go over how I color Christmas trees and give you my tips and tricks to make them look a little bit more lifelike. And it's fairly simple. If you watched my tutorial on how to color hair a couple months ago, it's actually pretty similar. So let me get my keyboard out of the way. Good morning, Arlette. Let me switch you guys over here. Here we go. Oh, Tuesday, guys. My husband's out of town, so I'm handling all the things, and I don't sleep nearly as well when he's gone. So we're making do. Coming in from South Carolina, Vicky. Whoop whoop. Son and the grandbabies. That's fun. That is fun. I love visiting family. You colored your hair teal? All right, you're going to have to post a picture of that so I can see. All right, friends. Freckle friends. I've shown you. This is a series that Pick Events started. Oh, by the way, I didn't do my normal intro. My name's Charlene. I'm on the design team with Pick Event Studios. If you are new to the channel, I go live most Tuesdays at 12 o'clock Central. I share my tips and tricks, and we go over the items from the new release. I show how to use them. So inspiration abounds. Woo woo! And yeah, okay, that's my little spiel. Oh, and at the end of this live, I will be giving away the card that I make to one of the commenters. So if you're interested in getting some happy mail, definitely leave a comment down below during the live, and I'll pick from the comments at the end. So let us know where you're from, how you're doing, and now back to our regularly scheduled programming. Hi, Christine. So as I was saying, this is Freckle Friends, the Freckle Friends line, and I think this is the third in the series. So it started coming out a couple months ago. We had the cutest little Halloween one that's still available, where she's got kitty cat ears, and then we had a fall one, which was very sweet. That's what it was. And I think I colored the hair on the fall one. So now we have this Christmas one. Isn't she cute? Freckle Friends Jolly Holly. Now she's a little bit smaller than the other prior Freckle Friends, and that's because Pick Events wanted to include this tree so you could create like a nice little vignette for the holidays. And of course there are coordinating dies. Oh, you went in the pool? It must be warm there. Okay, so let's start with that, and I'll show you the rest of the stuff as we go on. I have got a piece of very smooth cardstock. Smooth cardstock is what you want when you are coloring with alcohol markers. So this is Spectrum Noir. You guys know I never ever remember what it's called. Ultra Smooth Premium White Cardstock. It's a pretty cost efficient coloring cardstock, and it's usually what I use. So let me put my, oh yes, you like my nails? Ooh, they're color shifting. So exciting. Thank you, Vicky, for noticing. We're gonna stamp out the tree. So let me get this out, give you a little ASMR action here. And we're just going to stamp this in some black hybrid ink. Black hybrid ink is great for working with solvent-based items or alcohol-based items. Pretty much anything that's a mild solvent like Gamsol works as well, or any kind of alcohol marker. It's also great for working with water-based products, so you can use it with watercolor markers, water coloring, all that good stuff. So it's kind of a good all-around ink. And because it is a hybrid ink, it does stay wet for a little bit longer than your standard water-based dye ink. So that's good in the sense that you also can heat emboss with it. It does mean though that you need to usually give your, especially if you live somewhere humid, you need to give your ink a little bit more time to dry, or just hit it with your heat tool. And I'm by a little bit of time, I mean like a couple of minutes, guys. It's not crazy. I'm in a fairly dry climate. I'm in Washington, and I mean it's wet here, but it's not super humid. I don't know if that makes sense, or if I'm just like making things up, but I don't have a problem. So like I just stamped it, and I'm gonna go ahead and start coloring. When I am working with trees in particular, pine trees, okay? So this is, the way I would color would be different if I was coloring leaves, or if I was coloring a maple tree, you know, things like that. But for a pine tree, this technique works really well because your pine bough has the pine needles coming off of it. And it's very similar to hair in the sense that it's going to have kind of striations in it, and it's going to have parts where the light is reflecting off of it. So I work with 3 greens when I'm doing pretty much any kind of plants, and my favorites to work with are, let's see if I can get them. Oh, I had it upside down. I use other ones, but I usually like to use 2 greens and then a yellow green. I really like having yellow green in my greenery. It just gives like this bright, fun pop of color. So I've got a G1.7, a G1.5, and a YG 1.4. So we'll start with our darkest. And yesterday my marker was not cooperating, so hopefully it pays it, or it is good today. Be good. How are we on? Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit for you guys. There we go. And hopefully I'll just remember to zoom out, right? Or let no ASMR. I'm okay with the ASMR videos, but I can only watch a couple of them. So I'm like in between. Like it's not a thing I seek out, but I'm not opposed to them, I guess. So same kind of thing you do with any image. You want to bring in your darkest, and you want to shade first thing in any of the areas that have something on top of them. So here my hand is on top of my other hand. I would put shading all the way around it. So because this layer of the tree is on top, above essentially the other layer, we're going to shade underneath there. And I'm just kind of dabbing my marker along those shade lines, going all the way around. You don't need a very thick line because we're going to blend this out with our other greens, but there we go. So we've got our first shading line. Now the same concept goes for the underside of our pine boughs, right? So I'm going to bring this and I'm going to flick it up, okay? Now I want you to think about when you're working with pine trees that there's a left side and a right hand side. So where you flick, like on this side, we're going to flick at the bottom going this way, and on this side we are going to bring it up and we're going to flick on the bottom going this way. And then when we get to the center, So you can just kind of arbitrarily decide where your center is going to be. And I'm going to say that this bow right here is the center. So you see how I brought it up on each side of it, and I'm not going to put any shading anywhere on that one. So then for the rest of these, I'll just come along and flick up, following the line that's already been created for me by the base of the piece. Okay, you can already see just from that little bit, it's already creating a lot of shape to our tree. It's giving us the illusion that this just isn't one block anymore, right? This has now become lots of tiny pieces of tree. And if you feel like you need to extend them, you can. It's totally up to you. So now that I did that bottom portion, I'm going to do the same thing, kind of coming down from the top and in essentially the same areas. And I'm just doing a real light, you like that? That's my technical term for what I'm doing right here. And there we go. That's our dark. Now, I'm not going to close this because I think like yesterday it was really warm out and then the rain came today. And so I think my markers might have been having like a little bit of a pressurization issue, which if they do, you can pretty easily fix that. And that's marker, by the way, that I don't have a big giant boo-boo. I don't know how I got marker there. But if you have a pressurization issue, you can just lay your markers with their cap off for a little bit. And that will help. Hi, Karen. Hey, Victoria. Paya, you're scared of the dark markers, but I guess I have to get over it. Yes. It gives you so much more options when you're using the dark colors. So now we're going to come in with our 1.5. And for our 1.5, we're essentially going to do kind of the same thing that we would do with any other image. We're going to bring it right along where our 1.7 was. And that's going to help make it blend out a little bit. So I'm just running my marker, and this doesn't have to be perfect. The Christmas tree, the way I color them, I think is pretty forgiving. You don't have to be perfect, right? So I'm just kind of bringing it along and flicking up along where I put my 1.7. And then same thing for the top. I'm just going to flick down essentially in those same spots that we put that 1.7. All right, now that we've done that, I also want to pull out the shading. So when you're thinking shading, it's more about darkness to show shape versus kind of what we were doing here, which is we are actually creating the boughs. So I hope that difference makes sense. So I'm going to pull out that shading that we put at the top there. Now I can bring in, before I move on, I don't want all of those pieces to be yellow-green because I really just want to pop a yellow-green. So I'm going to think about my pine bough, and I'm going to think about if the light is essentially coming from kind of the front and down. The center portion of each of these pine boughs is where the accent is going to be, the highlight. So I'm going to bring my 1.5 on the opposite sides of these boughs, and it doesn't have to be perfect. And if it covers the whole thing, then it covers the whole thing. And it's not anything to fret or worry about. Oh, and we'll come around our little Christmas bulb there. Not bulb. What are those called? It's an ornament, but Are they bulbs? Balls. Glass balls, right? Boo. All right, 1.4 now. Bring in our pop, our fun little highlight. Oh, I forgot to go under this glass ball. And I grabbed the darkest color. Oops, I meant to grab 1.5. These are out of order. Stay in order. Okay, now we'll come in with our lightest, and I'm just gonna flick it back and forth. And this is very similar to the hair technique, right? I'll flick it back and forth anywhere there is white. And that is already an awesome start to our tree. Like I would normally do this a second time, but you could just leave it as once, and you can see already it's created a lot of fun coloring in there and just some depth and dimension. You can see, look at the difference between this open space that has nothing and then down here, and what a difference those like placed swoops create. Let's see, Vicky, what did you say? Do I think Copic's popularity will diminish due to Olos? I don't know, because Copics have like been around for a long time, and I still use my Copics. I'm going to repeat that process now with this next layer. But Copics have been around for a long time, and I don't think they're going to go away. I think they'll continue to be popular, especially with artists that are like professional artists, because of that. Now, I personally usually reach now for my Olos, and I've talked about that on here before, and it's largely because I feel like they blend better. I just do. I feel like they blend better. I feel like I don't have to mess with them as much because I'm not having to fill them all the time, and just they just work. Now, what a potential downside you could consider to Olos is they are much wetter. So if you're used to coloring with Copic markers, it does take some time to get used to them. So don't like freak out because you've got too much ink on your paper. Like, it just takes time to get used to them. And yeah, what is it? Carlin? Carlin. Carlin. I don't know. Sorry if I mispronounced that. So there are a lot of colors of Copics. Now, I will tell you, I never went crazy and bought all the Copics. I have, and trust me, I go crazy with lots of things. But I never went crazy with that because honestly, it's like overwhelming to me for some reason to have that many, especially when I found that I tend to reach for the same color combinations over and over again because I like how a particular combination works. It's interesting. I don't do that with my inks, but I do with my alcohol markers. But there are a lot of new colors that have come out recently for the Olos, and of course I got them right away because I had to have them, and it's really good. It's a really good set. I definitely recommend it. If you bought the original set, I recommend getting the new set that came out. It just adds a ton of options. And I just heard recently, last weekend, I went to the Crop and Create event with Scrapbook and Cards Today. And it was an online event. And Lori from Olo Markers did a class, and she did say that they are coming out with, at some point, the bullet tips. So the teeny tiny little tips, which is awesome. I will probably, when those come out, get an entire additional set with the bullet tips. So that way, instead of having two different colors on one marker. I can have one that's the brush tip and one that is the bullet nib. So I'm excited about that. So do I think they'll replace Copics? If I will say this, if Copic continues to have the manufacturing issues that it's been having, I think that it is possible, because they have had a lot of problems with their lids. People's lids have cracked frequently on in the last year, I would say, of purchases of Copic markers, and so the markers will dry out. Which, if you're gonna pay, this is just me. If you're gonna pay that much for markers, like they need to work, right? I mean, they're super expensive. Olos are, for the amount of alcohol colorant that you get inside of them, are better priced than Copics. So hopefully that answers your question, Vicki. That's my thoughts about it. Let's see, what did you say, Carolyn? I have the Chow as well. So Chow is, for those of you who aren't familiar with Copics, they have two different styles. So if you ever hear anybody talking about them, these are both Copic markers. This is the style of this marker. See how it's kind of oval? Is called a sketch marker. And this is a Chow. It's just more of a barrel body. And it holds less ink, but it's also less expensive. And some people have a preference. You know, these don't roll on your desk, but these kind of do. I don't know. I got the Chows. Let me look back here. Oh, thanks, Monique. That's so sweet of you. Oh, yeah. See, Vicki said she's had to replace 16 Copics due to cracked caps. You would think that they would just work. It's really annoying. Bonnie, Karen markers. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Karen markers are water-based markers, so they are different too. They're different from Copics or the Olos. I don't have any Karens. I've thought about getting them and about the Zig brush markers, but so many colors in such little time, right? Arlette, the Spectrum Noir Tri-Blends, I've heard good things about those for sure. Let's see. Copics are, I'm looking through here. Yeah, Copics are refillable. That is it could be a pro and a con, because they are refillable, which over time means they are cost efficient in terms of because the refills, I believe you can refill like 5 times. It just really depends though if you are big into coloring, right? If you're not coloring very much and you only have to refill your markers every once in a while, those refills are still pretty expensive. I color quite a bit, so over time I did end up buying a lot of refills. And you can do fun alcohol, ink kind of techniques with the refills as well. So I see I'm still doing all the swooping from each side, pretending this is in half. And then I'll bring my shading here up underneath this next layer of the tree. Again, this is my G1.7. You could go darker if you're using Olos. I also like to do the G1.8 as well. Sometimes with my trees, it just depends on how like bright and pretty I want the tree to be. I guess pretty's not the right word, because it would be pretty either way. All right, swiping from the top again. See? Kind of in line with where I've swiped up from the bottom. And also if I feel like there's anywhere where it's just kind of it's too big of a chunk. I don't know. Don't let your intuition guide you as well. And some of the stuff I do, there's really like no rule why I'm doing it per se. It's just, I think in my brain, it looks better. So coming back in here now with the 1.5 and swooping in, blending out those lines, kind of coming right along them. Not too worried about where they go though, because if it looks too structured, then you're left with like a pipe cleaner Christmas tree, right? And we don't want it to be too structured. We want it to still have some freedom and movement in it. And I'm going to, I don't want quite as big of a highlight, right? So I'm gonna, on these ones where there's a lot of white space, I'm coming with the green on both, the G1.5 on both sides of that bow. I've got YG 1.4, back and forth, swipe, swipe, anywhere there is white, and that will break up that color and give you that fun pop. You can see it gets a little bit more difficult in terms of where to swipe as you get smaller and smaller as you work your way up the tree, but just try not to think about it too much. Let's see, Vicky. Yes, Copic will replace if you keep your receipts. That is true. Rhonda, you got here late. Well, you missed all of the good tips. I'm like clean out. I have no more good tips. Just kidding. I hope they were good tips that I gave. Let's see, Victoria, you have Olos on your Christmas list. I hope hubby's listening too, because I really do enjoy my Olos. And I feel like there was another question. Let's see. I don't necessarily find them any easier to use. I mean, they are certainly different though. Like I said, like they are more juicy is really the only way I can describe it. And so I don't know that they're easier. I guess if you say by easier that they blend better. I really do think they blend better. I don't know. It could just be the style of coloring that I do, that it works better with them, with the Olos. So keep that in mind. But a lot of people, especially in card making, are switching to the Olos. And what I had said before, was these are not refillable. So there are two different colors here. They screw together. And there's also a handle you can get. I don't even know where mine is because I don't ever use the handles. But there's like a plastic handle if you wanted to that you could. Here. Is that it? Tucked in here? Maybe? Yes. So you could buy plastic handles if you wanted to. Like so. And it kind of makes it more of a paintbrush like. So I could buy a bunch of these handles and have them on all of them. But for me, that seemed like, what did I do here? I messed something up. I must have, I don't know. I'll figure it out later, you guys. I don't know what I did. I think the connector ring maybe, because there's like there's a connector ring that came off. There, okay. Yay! I figured it out. I'm sitting here going like, what in the world? Why is this not going back together again? Okay, we figured it out. There we go. So that's our 1.7. Gonna bring our 1.5 again. This is what happens when you try and talk and color, guys. The struggle's real. So we'll bring in our 1.5 here. Again, swooping right along those lines where that 1.7 was, and same thing on the top. And then, oh, I want to bring this down a little bit, and then we'll bring in our 1.4, and anywhere there's white, we're going to go back and forth with that swooping motion, like so. And you could even, I know this sounds weird, but you could even bring in some blues when you're coloring with greens, because if you bring in a really deep blue and mix it with a deep green, it actually does give you a really nice piney color. And I know that sounds strange, but you could definitely experiment with that. It's kind of fun to do. So I'll bring in my 1.7 again swooping along the base of the bow. When I get to the middle, my swoop is going to come from the other side. Let's see. This one I think I'm going to split. So I just see how I did that. I decided to split this big chunk in half. And then for the top, because we're at the top, there's not going to be any shading there. We're going to leave that there. And I am going to add a little bit more of my 1.7 right there. You can go back in always and add more shading if you want to. Don't be afraid to go back in and add more if you feel like it's not looking right. 1.5. Swoop with that one. Come up from this other side. There we go. Oh, this looks so cute. And then our 1.4, our YG 1.4, anywhere there is white. Okay, we've got a tree, y'all. So this is just one pass with the markers. And like I said, normally when I am coloring, I will go over it a full second time. I'll give it a second to dry a little bit, and then I'll go over it a full second time. That will give me even more kind of gradations of color. It'll give me more, having more of those swoops in there, and layered swoops will build up the, oh, I don't know what the right word is for it. It builds up the texture of the pine boughs. So I'm going to bring in and show you. Here is a tree that I already did. And you can see this tree has a lot. I use less YG in it. I think I actually prefer this tree. I think it looks better with the more YG in it. But they're both fine. I don't know. What do you guys think? I think it looks better with more YG. I just like that pop. I feel like it's such a nice pop with the bright yellow in it. But either way, and here's our cute little Holly. Holly Jolly. Isn't she sweet? I think she's so cute, all colored up. All right, we've got our coloring done. So that is how you color, or how I color, and you might want to try coloring a Christmas tree. And it's very similar to hair. If you guys remember the hair we did, it's a little bit different, but similar. It's the swoopy whoopy. Whoop whoop. So, oh, someone had mentioned Ohuhu, which I think are a great budget option. They're actually my favorite budget option for alcohol markers. And I bought an entire set for my son. So I had bought them to try for myself, and I thought they were perfect for him. They are not as nice as Olos or Copics. I mean, I know they blend just as well as Copics, I find, but there are lots of little things about them that I find are not quite as nice. Let's see. Oh, Paya, you want me to color the ornaments? I will do that because I think I have time, because we're going to do a pretty simple setup on the card. So let me show you how I color ornaments. we'll bring in, we're gonna do some red ornaments and some blue ornaments. And we're gonna do green ornaments. Let's do that. Let me get these ones out of the way so I don't accidentally grab the wrong marker. So Ohuhu I think are great, and I always, if people are new and don't even know if they're gonna like coloring or want to spend a bunch of time coloring and they're looking to just try something out, they're absolutely a great option to try. So you can find them on Amazon. They're really inexpensive comparatively. There are downsides, but I wouldn't say that, like, if you were enjoying coloring, I would move on from them personally. So I guess it depends on if you want to invest the money up front or if you want to give it a try in a pretty low cost way to do it. Picket Fence does sell Olos on their website, so definitely check that out. When I'm done, I will, let me tell you what I'm doing and zoom back in. That'd be helpful, right? Okay, so for my red ornaments, I'm using R1.7 and R1.5. I usually only do 2 colors on an ornament because they're so small. But essentially, you're gonna do some little tiny flicks out from each side of the ornament if you're wanting your highlight to be in the center. So let me hold that up so you can see it better. See those teeny tiny little flicks I did right there? And then you just bring in your lighter color for your highlight and you flick back and forth. And that's it. It gives you the appearance of a shiny ornament. Very simple to do. And if you're working with a small space, I will only put a tiny bit of the dark around the edge. And that can be kind of hard to do. So it takes practice, but then you can bring in your light color in the center. Excuse me, my voice is kind of scratchy. And that will give you that nice bright pop in the center. So we'll do our teeny tiny little flicks in the dark on each side. And then we'll bring in our light and just go back and forth in the center. So there's our reds. Coco. No. Stop. Shh. No. There's nothing to bark at, and he's barking. For our blue, I'm going to use 2.6 and 2.4. Same idea. We'll just bring in the 2.6 and flick from both sides. And then our 2.4. And we'll flick from flick from the center out. And let's do, what else do we want to do? Let's do this one. So tiny bit of the dark all the way around. And if it's too small of a space for you, don't beat yourself up trying to color with 2 colors. Honestly, it's not worth the mental anguish. I've gotten better over time at coloring in teeny tiny spaces with 2 markers. But if you're newer to alcohol marker coloring, just color that sucker 1 color. It's, nobody's gonna even really notice. It's nice to have the highlight in the center, but I mean that's that's the least important part of your card, right? It's really not that imperative to have that. So let's see, there we go. And why did I didn't mean to make both of those green. Oh well. Oh well. There we go. There are our, what am I doing? G1.5. There are our ornaments. And same way for the, where are my browns that I like? 4.6, 4.3, and 4.1. That's one. Oh, so browns are orange with black. Browns are actually just a shade of orange. I don't know if you guys knew that, but that's how they work. So if you're looking for browns, look in the orange family. So I'm going to bring in 4.6 and I'm going to flick out from the edges. And again, remember, because the tree's on top of the base here, we're going to shade underneath that as well. And then I'll flick out from this side. I'll bring in my 4.3 and starting not all the way over, I want to keep that 4.6, right? So I'm just going to start part of the way over to blend that out. And then I'll bring in my 4.1 to do the center. And that's going to, I go back and forth, and that's going to give us that illusion that it's curved, that the trunk is curved. I do want the lines to be present. So I'm actually, once I'm all done coloring, I'm going to kind of flick along those lines in order to darken those up and add that texture detail back in there. So now we have ornaments and a trunk. Let me check out. Yes, Vicki, you sent me a tumbler. You can't see it right now. It's right up here. I have it on display. I absolutely love it because you're amazing. Let's see. Sunday, I die cut a lot of snow globes, and I thought that would be my Christmas cards this year, but I like the tree. Make 2 cards. Why not, Rhonda? I talked about this in a video I did once where I get bored really easily, and the idea of doing, even 5 of the same card sounds like miserable to me. So I tend to do, for my holiday cards, I'll pick a design that I can easily change up and do lots of different things with. So that way I don't get bored. And so every 5 or so, I will change the design up so that I can do something a little bit different. Now, I think I do like this tree better than my other tree. I like the more yellow-green in it. I just love that pop. So I'm going to I will color those presents later because I want to get the card together and show you guys it. So I'm going to die cut this tree to go. These are the coordinating dies I pulled out with our lovely Holly Jolly that I already colored. Let me get my... Can you guys hear my tummy growling? It's growling. It's being very noisy. I have a noisy stomach. I hope you can't hear it. Excuse my head for a second. I just don't want to, you spend all that time coloring. You want to make sure that you get it to die cut correctly. I have had it happen before in the past where I thought I was clever and didn't use tape. And, that happening one time was enough for me to always, always, always tape my dies down. It's just not worth it to me to risk it. So we'll cut Holly out here. She's so sweet. I love her nightgown. Reminds me of a nightgown I had when I was a little girl. It was like a red, and it was like a kind of like a velvet, but not quite. I don't know if anybody else had that nightgown when they were little. Okay, I got her lined up. And I don't want to run this tree through the die cutting machine. because I don't want it to get any nicks or anything on it. I'm going to probably use this for another card that I create later. So I'll set that aside. Set this aside. Let me run these through my die cutting machine. I'll be right back. I guess I could bring this over. I'll just bring it over. And then you can watch the die cutting process. Some awkward die cutting here. And we'll put our top plate. You guys ever clean your top plates? I recommend every once in a while giving them a little spray with a cleaner and cleaning them off. If you're newer to card making, you should always use your top plate as your top plate and your bottom plate as your bottom plate. I have a magic mat, which I use for my bottom one. But the reason is you're less likely to get nicks or marred spots in your cut images if you're always using the same top plate. But it can get yucky and dirty over time from picking up ink as you run things through there. So every once in a while, I will clean my top plate off. I mean, I've been using this as my top plate for, I don't even know, a long time. So I will clean it off every once in a while. And it's amazing. All the, it's like this dark gray yucky that I get off of it. And it's from picking up ink from things. It's especially a good idea if you work with pigment ink a lot. Because pigment ink, you know, even though it looks dry, often is not dry. I have no idea how this was on here. I wasn't paying any attention. There we go, because I was jabbering away. Just put this away. Put this away so we don't lose it. Here we go. Isn't that cute? Let me see. Yeah, you prefer the yellow green as well? Yeah, just it adds that fun little extra pop of color. I don't know. It's really pretty. And there she is by her little Christmas tree. You can put the tree in front or behind. I don't know which one I prefer. I prefer probably her in front, I think. And that'll look better once those presents are colored. So I have here the A2 Simple Plaid Cover Plate die. Big mouthful. And I've already cut one out of white cardstock to save us a little bit of time. It cuts beautifully. It just takes a little time, you know, because you have all those little itty bitty pieces to make sure they've all got out of the die and everything. So I figure it's a good idea. Paya, I switch back and forth actually. I tend to go back and forth between brunette and kind of like a dirty blonde. Sometimes I'll do a bright blonde, and sometimes a redhead. But usually I go back and forth between those two. So don't worry, I do lots of brunette coloring as well. All right, this is driving me bonkers. I'm gonna clean my glass mat. Because I can just see all the yuckies on there. And you guys know I'm a little neurotic. So I will feel better once that's clean. There we go. Now my anxiety's gone. And I'm gonna take a drink of my coffee too. Vicky, I would, but I'm running out of time, so I'm probably gonna do it after the live because I don't want to keep you guys here forever. Unless you guys want me to. I'll color the present. Piece of white A2 cardstock. We're going to put this back behind here. And now our sweet gal needs a little home, right? She kind of feels like she's just floating in space here. So there's a couple of different ways you could do that. You could put a strip of cardstock. And you could put like a circle or an oval. What do I want to do? I didn't think this through. I probably should have before we started. I think what I'll do is, I wanted to show you guys these. These are the signature quote Christmastime, and these are the deck the hall sentiments. So really pretty sentiments. I think I've shown you this one. I don't think I've shown you this one though. I like the scripty font on there. And I was kind of thinking of using this one that says, let's sparkle and shine at Christmas time. And in fact, that might just cover the presents, Vicki. So I might not even need to color them. I know, I'm kind of like all over the place, but bear with me. I promise. We'll get there. Where is my... Come off. Go away. I'm done with you. I want to stamp my sentiment. Do I have a scrap of cardstock? I do. Let me grab it. Okay, so let's sparkle and shine at Christmas time. I just like that sentiment. It's so nice. It makes me like happy. I like to sparkle and shine at Christmas time. Sparkle, shine. I've never met a bling I didn't like. Okay, stamp this once. Let's stamp it again. That looks pretty good, but I don't think we need any more. Ooh, sorry, that was squeaky. Yeah, Heather, you clean your top plate. Yep, it's a good idea to do it every once in a while. Move this out of the way, and we'll get our coordinating dies out. I'm a big fan of dies, guys. The coordinating dies make my little not fussy cutting a living heart happy. So let me skip this so that there is not, or so that there is an equal amount of white space all the way around. We'll cut this out. I feel like there was a question I started answering and then I got sidetracked because my brain is like a 2-year-old on Christmas morning most of the time. So just ask it again if that happened. I feel like I'm sitting here racking my brain because I feel like someone had asked a question and I started answering it and they never actually finished answering it. But I'm not sure. So if that's the case, definitely re-ask your question. Oh yeah, I like her with the tree, with that sentiment. And we can even bring it right there. And if I wanted to, there are also, where are you, Holly Jolly? There are 2 separate little presents as well that I could cut out, and I could put those like tucking out, coming out from behind the sentiment, which would look really pretty. Right now I need to focus and figure out what we're going to do for our grounding, because right now she is in the middle of space just floating around, and that is not going to work for me. I was looking to see if I had any scraps of cardstock there, that would work. Do we want, I don't think we want to do black. We could do craft. No, I don't want to do craft. What if we do maybe red? I don't know. Let me grab a piece of cardstock here and see what we think to ground her. So it'd be something like, see, this is, you guys get to see it in process because I did not have a plan exactly for what I wanted to do. I feel like I kind of like the red. Yeah, let's go with the red. Ties in with her red nightgown. Let me cut off a piece of this here. So I'm just gonna cut off a card panel sized piece real quick. And then we can decide, I'll bring my mini trimmer over, and we can decide how far up we want the red to come. I usually will try and do it about 1/3 of the way up. So I'm thinking maybe 1 3/4 inches. See how that looks. So we'll trim 1 3/4 inches. I feel like this edge is not straight. Okay. I'll set this aside. How are we looking? So if we have this here, and we put our tree, and then we have our little adorable gal. And I'm gonna pop some of this stuff up on foam tape as well. And we bring in our sentiment. What do we think? I think it looks pretty good. We could also put back behind there some glitter cardstock. I know I'm keeping you guys longer. You're leaving, Bonnie. All right, well, be sure to check back and see if you win the card because I'm going to pick somebody from the comments. So don't forget. I'm going to bring in, where is my glitter? Glitter. There you are. And some glitter cardstock. Ooh, maybe some white. Some white iridescent glitter cardstock. Let's see how that looks back behind there. Oh yeah, let's do the white glitter iridescent. That will just add a little bit of shine back and sparkle back behind there without distracting and taking away from the overall composition. So that'll look really nice. Let's cut this to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 and get our card put together. The putting together part here won't take very long. At least I don't think it will. I suppose it could. I can't guarantee anything, right? Yeah, Rhonda, you can't go wrong with red at Christmas time. I agree. And I have several different shades of red that I like to use. I have some darker reds and lighter reds. I like to have lots of options for my reds and my greens. So I will glue our glittery piece here. I probably didn't need to do that, frankly, now that I think about it. But I can I could have just used that and put it on my card. But this will help to kind of strengthen it up because the glitter paper is usually not as thick as regular cardstock. And then we'll bring in, I just want something to sort of hold this in place so it's not moving around on me. You don't have to add glue to every single spot when you are working with a big plate like this. You can just run it along some of the lines just enough to make sure it's like gonna stick, but it doesn't have to, you don't have to get glue on every single one of those lines. First of all, your glue would dry before you had a chance to put the piece on. You could also die cut this with double-sided adhesive on the back, but like we talked about before, I am never able to remember that, and oftentimes it's also because I haven't got that far in the design process to really even know what I'm gonna do with the piece, so I never remember to. But if you're smarter than me and remember to, it does make this part, the adhering part, a little bit easier. Just make sure the adhesive sheets that you have are kind of thin, because you don't want to run into any issues with your die cutting or getting the little bits out. All right, so once I've done all the center, well, not all, but the center lines that I want to do, then I can go around the edge. And that is kind of the most important part for adhering. So I try to do that last. And it also makes it so that I'm less likely to get glue all over myself, and I don't like getting glue all over myself. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of getting messy, despite the fact that I do love some mixed media on my cards. I don't like it on my hands. I don't want it on there. There we go. When you're working with glitter paper, you do want to make sure that you get enough glue on there to hold it, because glitter paper is not porous in the same way that, okay, I'll bring out my big mama scissors. In the same way that paper is. So I'm just going to cut along the edge here where we have some overhang, so that this glitter paper is not sticking out from the sides. And you could avoid that by cutting your piece of glitter paper a little smaller than the piece you're gluing it behind. But it's not, I don't find it too big of a deal to just cut it off. I am kind of particular though, so bear with me while my particularness makes me cut. Okay, now we'll put our red on there. Yeah, that'll look nice. I feel like my red, I might have cut it a little bit short, did I? That's not what I want to do. Might have cut it a little short. Might be just that piece though. I think it's just that piece. It's always better to make your piece bigger than smaller, because then you won't run into those kinds of issues. You can always trim off the excess. 1 3/4 is what we said, right? Not a big deal though. I'll use that scrap of red cardstock for something for sure. Let's make sure now, because we don't want any of the white. There, yeah, we don't want the white peeking out from the edges. Just detracts from the overall look. Add some glue. this down over the bottom. Make sure we get it nice and lined up and straight. Looks good. There we go. Am I still zoomed in? No, I'm not. Okay. And then for our tree, I think we'll put our tree directly back against there. Oh, I wonder if I have actually, where is it? I'm gonna cut one more. How are we on time? Guys, we're almost done. We're just going a couple minutes over today. I hope that's okay. I totally understand if you have to leave. But I am going to cut an extra of this. I can find a piece of cardstock tree and glue it to the back there just to give it a little bit of definition so it's not quite so flat back behind there. And I'm actually going to cut another one, and you'll see why in a second. So I'm going to cut a total of 2 extra trees. And this is what's going to also help our piece to lay flat on our card. So I'm going to figure out where I want it. And it's going kind of like right in the center of that bottom bow. So I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut one of these like so. And I'm going to get rid of this extra piece. So now when we glue our pieces together, we'll add one. And yes, this is an extra added step, but it really, I think, is worthwhile to do. For me, anyway, I think it just adds a lot. Oh, and you just pinch around the edges. Get everything nice and lined up. Come on, brain. And then we'll put our second piece that is cut. And that will lift just this top portion. So that way, when we put it on our card front that we created, it'll lay flat. See, so it's gonna lay flat on both of these because we have the added red there. So we'll add some glue on here. Pat, you're gonna come back and watch the unlive event. All right, you should, because you never know. I might pick you for the card if you want this card, and then you're just gonna email me. All right, we're gonna center this. Is that centered? I feel like that's kind of centered, right? Okay, there we go. Oh, now I'm changing my mind and I feel like I might have to color those presents after all. Yeah, I'm gonna have to color those presents after all, you guys. See, all that, and then I thought I wouldn't have to. No big deal. I'll color them up. I'm gonna just grab a little bit of foam tape here and get it on the back of our gal. My space is getting really messy. Messy, messy, messy. And she's gonna go in front of the tree. I didn't think this through. Let's see, if she's going in front of the tree, then I think I can't have all of this tape there. Peel that back off. So she can have some on her head. can have some on her legs and some on that side of her hair. Okay. Work in progress. We'll put some on this side of her hair. Non-stick scissors, you guys, I'm telling you, best invention ever. And we'll put some on her feet down here. Oop. There we go. And there we go. Let's see, did I get it right? Yeah. Yeah, that looks good. Let's put her down before I change my mind, because you know that's very possible for me to do, because I change my mind like I change my clothes. You change your mind like a girl changes clothes. Okay. And I am looking at my monitor in case you were wondering like what in the world I am doing. My monitor has the feed in front of me so I can see if something is going on correctly, if it's straight. It's the same kind of dealio here. Just gonna add a little bit of tape to our, why is my, you guys can hear the ding. Shouldn't be able to hear that. I have it turned off. Oh, which scissors did you get, Pat? Did you get the detail ones? These ones? So good. So good. If you guys missed was it last week's live that I was going on and on about them? I don't know. I get excited about craft supplies that are awesome. That is so annoying. Why is it dinging? Stop. Okay. Hopefully that worked. Okay. I think I put it too far over. So let's take a little bit of this off. Coloring's always hard because it takes a little bit longer. Like, and I want to show you guys these techniques, but sometimes they take too long. There we go. That looks good. And I'll probably, after the live is done, tuck back behind here some really thin stuff on this side to help give it some stability. We're gonna put this I kind of like it right there because it's going over the red line, and I feel like that looks good. I could put it up higher. No, I like it here. I don't know, I can't tell you why from a design perspective. If I thought about it, I probably could, but that's what I like. I think it balances better. Okay. Let's get this stuff out of the way. And we're in the home stretch. Home stretch. Where are we at? I'm going to keep you guys for just a couple more minutes because I want you to see the finished card. I'm going to bring in some R1.7. The coloring on these presents is really, really simple because they're so small underneath here. You can't even really tell what's there. So I'm going to color this one that's right under the tree with the 1.7. and just leave it all in 1.7. Now for this one, I'm going to bring in the 1.7 around this holly bough. Okay. I'm going to bring the 1.7 right here on this top portion of the box on the left side. And then I will bring a tiny little bit here, some here on the right hand side, and a little bit under where this bow is right here. And then I'll bring the 1.5 and color in the areas, the other areas that are open for the box. I'm not coloring, there's like a ribbon that goes down the center of the box and tucks out over here. We're not going to color that red because I'm going to color that. Oh, and while I have this, I'm going to make my berries 1.5 here in the center of this little holly piece. I'm going to bring in a warm gray WG 5, and I'm going to bring it underneath the lid of the box, okay, to darken that area up. And then I'm going to bring it on the, remember these are under the tree, right? So the bow, which is white, I'm going to give it some shading because the tree's in front there. And then I'll bring one WG3 and blend that out a little bit. And this will dry back, right? It'll dry back lighter than it appears when you first color it. And then for our holly leaves, we're gonna do, they're pretty tiny, so I'm feeling like I might just color them 1.5 and not add any shading on them because they're itty bitty. And it might be a little hard to get shading in there right now when I'm just rushing. Okay, there, see, boom, I colored the little bit. Colored a little bit. Catherine, I'm using Olos. I actually spent a bunch of time talking about Olos, Copics, Ohuhus, and various things earlier when I was coloring the tree. So definitely go back and take a look at that, and you'll get lots of information if you're interested in that portion. Okay, who wants a card? Who wants a cute little card? I'll probably add something more to this, maybe some sequins or something. But who wants a cute card? I'm going to pick someone from the comments. Who's ready? Hi, it's me again. Yay! We did it! We finished coloring. Okay, I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to count to 10. And I'm going to scroll back and forth while I'm counting, and I'm going to pick someone from the comments to send this card to, okay? So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Vicky Donnelly, you're the winner! Yay! Vicky, send me email if you would like this lovely card. Whoop, whoop. And I will, here's my email. I will send it off to you in the mail. Now we can relax and look at our beautiful creation. All right, guys, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday, an amazing rest of your week. And I will see you again next Tuesday here at 12 o'clock Central on the Pick Event Studios YouTube channel. I appreciate you, and I hope you find some time to get crafty. Bye.